Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Woodman, and I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. This is an exciting video for me because we are beginning a new video set series that goes in depth with the interpretations of free speech rights. This video set will analyze important free speech rights from the First Amendment by looking at how the Supreme Court looked at specific free speech issues, what arguments they heard in those cases, and how they ruled on those cases that impacted our free speech rights. In the second section of my civic engagement curriculum, it focuses on how our institutions and systems of government affect how we civically participate in society by setting the rules and standards for how we operate. One of the topics I have in this section is constitutions, which touches on the rules and standards a country has to operate its government and interact with its citizens. For this video set series, we will focus on the First Amendment in the U.S. Constitution by specifically looking at the freedom of speech. If you do not know what the First Amendment is, here's a definition of it from the U.S. Constitution. Quote, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances, unquote. As you can see, there are a few different civil rights that are covered in this amendment, and there's so much we could talk about within this amendment. But for this video set series, we will mainly focus on freedom of speech. Also, there is nothing in this amendment that gives specific instances of what counts or does not count as free speech. It is pretty much like this for the majority of the Constitution, where many elements are broad and it is up to us to interpret how they apply in certain circumstances. Even though there are infinite possibilities and scenarios that make it impossible to list in the Constitution, we have to use what is already written in the Constitution and come up with persuasive arguments to explain if a specific civil rights provision applies or does not apply in a specific issue. This is where the judicial branch comes in. This branch is responsible for interpreting the Constitution and ruling on cases based on what the Constitution and law says, as well as the arguments the judges and justices hear. The Supreme Court has also been given the power of judicial review, where if a law or action is found to be unconstitutional, the Supreme Court can declare that. The Supreme Court makes the final decisions in judicial cases since they are the highest court in the United States. With this foundation in mind, why is talking about free speech rights important? To be civically engaged, it involves speaking up and speaking out when it comes to advocating for yourself and your community. But does that mean you could say anything you want without any restrictions? Can someone stop you from saying something they do not like or find uncomfortable? There are a lot of questions about free speech rights that come to mind. There are also some folks who want free speech to be unrestricted no matter what, while other folks want some limits on what you can say. While free speech is a crucial civil right that must be protected, we need to understand how it truly works in specific instances and the rules the Supreme Court established for it. After all civil rights have rules to regulate them, and the First Amendment is one of them. This will help us clarify how we can use our free speech rights to positive change in our society. This is also important for civic engagement because in a nation where everyone wants to speak and be heard, freedom of speech is vital to our identity and our democracy. This right allows us to express our thoughts and opinions on issues happening in our communities, criticize who is responsible for creating and perpetuating those issues, and express solutions for solving those issues. When we look at many nonviolent historical protests and movements, they were allowed to happen because of the First Amendment. Even right now, we see so many protests and rallies of people coming together to speak out on issues they care about. Again, the Constitution allows us to freely gather together to nonviolently protest and rally together and use our voices to spread awareness of a specific issue affecting our society. As I said before, free speech must be protected so we can use our voices to make positive change and not remain static as a society. So, to effectively use our free speech rights, we need to know how they were interpreted by the Supreme Court in specific cases, which can give us guidance on the rules and standards for speaking up and speaking out in public. Here's my roadmap for my video set series. First, I will talk about the right to advocate for legal action unless it likely causes imminent harm. Second, I will talk about the right not to speak. Third, I will talk about the right to criticize public figures and make mistakes. Fourth, I will talk about the right to non-disruptive protests in school. Fifth, I will talk about the right to offend. Sixth, I will talk about the right to publish without being stopped. Seventh, I will talk about not having the right to curse on broadcast television and radio. Eighth, I will talk about the right to parody. Ninth, I will talk about the right to espouse thoughts people hate. And 10th, I will talk about the right to use social media as a public forum. At the end of this video set series, you will gain a deeper understanding of what freedom of speech is, what free speech issues came up, and how the Supreme Court's rulings in those free speech cases impacted the way we view free speech rights. Remember, there are infinite possibilities on how free speech can apply in life, and we cannot talk about all of them in this video set series. But what we can do is go over several major free speech cases that set the rules for how we generally speak up and speak out on a day-to-day basis. These rules are meant to help us as citizens know what the government can and cannot do to control how we express our thoughts and opinions on certain issues. After all, if our free speech rights gets restricted too much, we will have a difficult time holding our government and institutions accountable and making sure they serve the public and not do anything wrong. In the next video, I will begin by talking about the right to advocate for illegal action unless it likely causes imminent harm. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and turn on the post notifications so you will be notified when I post my next video. I appreciate your support. Remember, you are powerful, you are capable, and you are the changemaker our society needs. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you soon.